Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Brodie Townsend about Heartbreak High, which is streaming now on Netflix. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
It's pretty crazy. I feel like you go in, you get cast for this, you shoot the show, you rap, and then the whole world gets to see it. And now finally the whole world can see it. I mean, can you even process what's been going on for you and the cast these last week or so?
I mean, it's so crazy. It's so funny when we're filming it because it is Australian. Like we're like, oh, I hope we get on the side of a bus. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It was like definitely our expectations have been exceeded in every way. So very cool.
Very cool. You mentioned Australian. I think people outside of Australia might not know this is a reboot of a popular 90s show, which is pretty crazy, or reimagining. I don't know what they're officially what is even the official term these days, right? Like,
okay, so we're calling it a reboot because we don't have the same characters and it's like obviously set in our time. But I think the core thing that we stuck to was like, it was a really shocking show for the 90s. So we're trying to make a shocking show for now.
Okay, so I was on point when I said reboot then. I didn't mess that up.
Reboot. Yeah.
Okay.
You killed it.
So what did you know specifically about the original show, like prior to doing this one?
Well, I've definitely heard about it. Yeah. It was a little bit before my time. But yeah, like everyone in Australia here, like we all know of it. It was a big thing. Maybe like some of my older cousins and not my parents' age, but kind of like my older cousins, like maybe about 5-10 years before me. Mm-hmm. It was massive. And I think it was quite big in Europe as well. So yeah.
No, absolutely. You play Ant.
Yeah.
Which is one of many characters in Heartbreak High that just there's a lot kind of happening with all the characters. And I feel like that's one of the things that I think people really enjoy. They like kind of diving into the complexity of all these characters. What specifically can you tell us about Ant specifically? Like, how would you describe this character?
Ant, he's just like the chillest dude, man. Like I love him. I think I really, really love him. And I feel like he's really close to my heart. But the cool thing about Ant is that, like, first of all, he's a freak, like everyone else, like we're all on the map. But he's a Christian. Mm-hmm. He goes with the flow. Like I love for me playing Ant was really sick that he could be Christian and then still be like, you know what I mean? It's not this like weird conservative uptight thing. Like he's free. He's part of our generation. And I think another cool thing about Ant, which you don't see much with the other characters in the show, is that he's like really close to everyone. He's kind of like the glue that holds everyone together, which I love. Unfortunately, like he's a bit on the weaker side.
That is a good point, though. He is a character that kind of cross paths with a lot of characters, if you think about it.
Yeah. He's never trying to cause anything, but he gets roped into a lot of stuff. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Heartbreak High, streaming on Netflix. It's a fun show. There's you'll have a good time watching it. But the show tackles a lot of important issues. Like it's packed. Like the showrunners packed a lot in there, and the writers. For you specifically, what kind of stands out for you the most in terms of a lot of the topics that Heartbreak High touches on?
For me, there's tons of topics in there.
There's a lot. It's packed.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of things, and a lot of things that I think people love to see, and we have obviously representation and we deal with sexual assault and different situations you can get in, and they're all so important. But I think the coolest thing with people watching, I think for our generation, for me personally, and also for the old viewers of Heartbreak High, the newer people watching it, I think something so cool about our generation is the freedom. You know what I mean? And I know that difficulties are along the way, but I love how like accepting the show is and how open and how like these kids are just kind of like in such a healthy way exploring every side of themselves, which I think like, you know, this is the first time I feel like we've really been able to do that. And it's so mind opening, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Heartbreak High that kind of drops on Netflix and people all around the world are able to watch it. And, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, like the YA, the young adults that are loving the show and everything. And you look at a lot of the shows that Netflix have been putting out in the YA sphere with Heartstopper and Young Royals. Is it cool to kind of be part of that a little bit? Like knowing that like there is such an appeal for a lot of these shows and like people just want to watch them continuing and like Heartbreak High is right there in the rotation. Like that's pretty exciting to think about, right?
Oh, dude, it's like the most exciting thing ever. And I feel like, you know, our teens and our young adults, like they're the future. And it's really cool to like, be amongst that. They're also the coolest fans. Like they're the coolest people on Insta and commenting on your stuff. Like I'm just so happy, like, cause they're just genuinely sick people. And hopefully in the show, our characters can reflect that.
It's so funny how there's still a lot of people, like, I just assume that everyone knows what YA is when I say it. Like, I'll say, you know, it's a YA show, and like, I just assume everyone knows it's young adult.
Yeah, young adults.
I had someone
We've all
recently
been
ask
to that
me,
section
like,
in the bookstore.
No, it's so true. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you know, like I grew up in Canada and we had Degrassi, which was
Drake.
Yeah,
Drake was on
exactly.
Degrassi, right? Yeah.
He was Aubrey Graham when he was on Degrassi. You know, no, but it's like it's crazy. And then you know, there's gonna be a reboot of Degrassi coming out soon too, and it's crazy because a lot of people from Canada know Degrassi, and it's the same thing with Heartbreak High. Like there are some people, that was my first question of the interview, that like probably are like, ooh, like Heartbreak High, like I'd never heard of this. And then they're gonna realize like that was like, I was doing my research, like this was a massive show in Australia. Like everyone knew about this show.
Yeah. But that's the cool thing about like streaming now and like a global thing, you know what I mean? Like we get to watch Degrassi, you guys get to watch Heartbreak High.
Yeah.
You know, the earth is flat now, as I say. Not a flat earth, but
Brodie Townsend is a storyteller. That's what you do. That's the profession that I love calling people like yourself, whether you act, write, direct, produce, create music. It's all storytelling. What excites Brodie Townsend about storytelling specifically?
Storytelling. I mean, look, man, like when I grew up, like I was such a movie buff, still growing up. But yeah, like I've just been obsessed with that. I feel like, you know, I think people talk like really deeply about like, oh, like it helps you and all that type of stuff. But like really, man, it's like fun. Yeah. Like it's so fun. And it's so fun to watch something. It's so fun to be in something. It's so fun to tell stories. I mean, it's just like some enjoyment, some entertainment in life. Like it's real simple. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to be in the mix of that?
100%. And to kind of add to that, you look at Heartbreak High. I mean, this is a show where I think it comes advertised that there is going to be a lot of intense things that happen. It's got the funny moments. It's a fun show. So I don't think I don't think it's what I'm about to ask you, because I feel like like people know what they're getting into. They know it's going to tackle a lot of important issues. I feel like that's dead. But I feel like the comedy genre is so interesting these days, because I feel like every time I watch comedy, I always think of like the serious undertones of the comedy. How you're watching like a sitcom with characters, and like these characters are going through self-reflection, going through all these things in their life, and don't you find that interesting too? Like the self-reflection, like serious undertone component of a lot of comedy specifically. Like it's interesting, right?
Dude, I think it's interesting. I think it's like needed, man. It's like humor to me is like the best thing ever. Like if you can laugh at someone going through something, like you can laugh at yourself. And I know that's like shitty, but like this
Yeah.
world, I mean, it's kind of like meaningless. You know what I mean, man? You just gotta push through, and you gotta
agree.
laugh at it sometimes.
I'm a 90s kid, so I used to remember watching like Boy Meets World. That was like one of my favorite shows. And it was like, you look back, like when you're a kid, you're just watching it, but like some of these episodes were intense. Like there were some like characters that were like selling drugs, joining a cult. Like it was like, and you think about it, you're like, that was like labeled as like a family sitcom and like TGIF, ABC Family. No, it's so amazing. I just want to kind of go back to Heartbreak High in terms of, ants involve a lot of scenes. There's a lot of interesting scenes that happen. Is there a scene that kind of stands out to you that you really enjoyed filming specifically for season 1? I'm sure there's a lot.
Specific scene, I mean, to be honest, man, I don't think there's a specific scene for me personally. I feel like so much of the show and so much of like a lot of what we did was based on everyone else. It's kind of an ensemble type thing. And like just every single scene that we got to all be together, like the classroom ones, like absolutely sick. And we all like used to pile into one trailer so we'd all be together, like, you know what I mean, and hang out in there. And like, I'm so grateful because I think it's so rare that all the cast is like so close, and it's just fun. And we got to like be in high school again. So definitely like the classroom scenes or just anything we all got to be together.
Any pranks on set? Every time I ask this question, everyone's like, I can't think of any pranks. I don't know if people are just lying to me. Like, any pranks or like inside jokes, like man, you can watch past interviews I've done with like cast like The Black Phone, which is a big horror movie now. And like I ask, and everyone's like, no pranks on set. I'm like, do I like believe that? Like there had to be something that happened. Anything you could tell me?
Okay, I think like pranks.
Yeah, maybe if it's not an official prank, but something
not really the Australian thing. But dude, I mean, so many inside jokes. But I'll tell you one thing.
Okay. Good.
Have you seen the show?
Yeah. Spoiler alert for people. Heartbreak High. Go.
Okay, so on the set, it wouldn't be like pranks, but we wouldn't like tell the director, or we wouldn't tell the film crew. And sometimes the boys would just make out on camera, like just for a little shock value. So we could be like in a scene and the boys would just kiss. And one actually made it in to the show, which I don't know if you've seen, I think it might be episode 3, Bryn and Tom. So Malachi and
so that was like
Spider.
that
So
was just spontaneous. That was
wasn't
like,
written.
Wow.
No, they just decided to do it. The director's like, what? Anyway, and it got into the show.
It's just a crazy feeling though that like you find out when it's dropping on Netflix. And then, like, you snap your fingers and the whole world can see the show. Like, it's still going to be... That's always going to be mind-blowing, right, Brodie?
Yeah, it's like... I wasn't really expecting it. You know what's crazy is, like, it's your friends and family, you know what I mean? Like, the world is one thing. And I think, like, because, we've been leading up to this for a while, like, you're thinking about, like, people in Holland or, like, in the world or whatever. But it's funny, like, the people and, like, the people... you talk to every day, it's like everyone's got access to it, but it's amazing. I mean, it's sick. Like we're really proud of the show. So
absolutely. Brodie, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was so great chatting with you, man.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, thanks so much, man. I really enjoyed it.
Heartbreak High on Netflix. If they haven't watched it, they watch it. If they have watched it, you know what they do? They watch it again, right?
Watch it twice. Watch it 3 times. Keep streaming.
Instagram, they can keep up to date with you specifically on your Instagram account, right? Is it just your name?
Yeah. Sorry, was I supposed to drop that? Maybe they should do something. Yeah, it's Brodie Townsend. You can look me up. I'll be there.
Is it just your name? Yeah, it's my name. It's 50-50. No, you're not the only one. Sometimes people are just like, yeah.
You never know.
And then some people some people make it a little easier for me and just say, yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's Brodie Townsend.
And if you want to follow my private, it's _BigMama69.
Not sure if that's real or not, but
it's not.
Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can catch Brodie Townsend as Ant in Heartbreak High, streaming now on Netflix. Until next time, this is Brodie and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.